So my journey with Mack amps began about 2 years ago when I came to see Dave's CD release party with the David Barrett trio at the Mod Club. And Dave at the time, it was before he had his signature Atom Smasher amp, he was playing a Heat Seeker and a Skyraider together on stage, and it sounded like a wall of sound. It was amazing, and I thought...
I had a gem too.
You had a gem too, that's right. You had a third one, a third one in the middle, because you know, you don't believe in overkill. So it was amazing, this wall of sound that was coming off the stage, and I thought, man, I really want to learn more about these, so I started to dig in. And part of why I think we're doing this video is my journey on Mack was trying to figure out which one to buy, because you couldn't go to a store, you have to order them direct. And I was like, okay, so we've got the Skyraider, which is a 6V6 amp, and we've got the Heat Seeker, which is an EL84, but I don't have one to play, so how am I going to figure them out? There were a lot of different sound samples. And as I dove in, I eventually got to, for me, the Skyraider was where I wanted to go. The 6V6s, to me, have a little bit more of a wide palette of sound. I play in a bunch of different bands where I'm playing everything from really clean, funky stuff to hard rock stuff, so I needed some real versatility. The Heat Seeker is an amazing amp because the EL84s just have this killer mid-range that just rock. Like if you're looking for that real rock and roll thing, the Heat Seeker is the amp for you. I wouldn't categorize them though the way some people think about these amps as well. EL84s are kind of Vox and that British kind of sound, and 6V6s are kind of Fender, because the design of these amps is really, really unique, and it's very, very flat. What you get is this incredible presence in the mid-range that just cuts through a mix. And this is where, if I were to sell these amps for one thing alone, it would be, you're going to hear your guitar in the mix. You're going to hear what's going on, because so many of the amps that we buy that we love the sound of in the store are very, very scooped. The mids are all kind of scooped out. The other thing that's great about these is how responsive they are to playing. And I'm going to get Dave to show you a couple of things here. He's playing through the Heat Seeker right now, and he can show you how amazing it sounds clean. And then by actually using the tone control and the volume control on your guitar, you get the real rock and roll.
Well, if we were doing something in recording just a nice straight guitar sound, it's down, the volume is down pretty low. We get some really chimey sounds, like. So it's still got some grit, but it's. It's got a nice bite to it, much like AC/DC and the records we grew up with,
Right, but if you just roll off a little bit, and you reduce your pick attack just a little bit, it really cleans up.
Oh yeah, it'll clean right up,
up right, quite nicely.
Jazzy tones, but kind of the tones that I like from the 40s and 50s, the Les Paul stuff, where you still hear that tubby kind of and a little bit of grit, And then typically we can we have three settings that are kind of, I don't know, adjusting.
It's kind of a contouring. It's
a little bit of a contouring.
It's a little bit of the voodoo. Don has never really told us what's going on with this, but there's hot, burn, and melt.
Yeah.
And I think the best way I can think of it is, if you're playing at a quieter volume, when you go from hot to burn to melt, it's kind of simulating getting a little closer to the feel of a 4x12 cabinet. But when you're really rocking these amps out, it doesn't matter to me. They just rock out no matter what.
So you can get dial the guitar down and get clean.
And you can hear the Heat Seeker's quite aggressive. I mean, for the type of stuff I'm doing, I could be playing in a funky thing where I roll it back just a little bit, and I've got. Still, I like a little bit of bite too, but then when I really roll it up.
When I heard you with your own trio and you're playing the rock stuff, it's really great to hear a whole set of music, Tom Petty, whatever covers you might be doing that night, that the guitar tones are really much more similar to those cleaner tubey sounds, and not all this, you know, how many times do you go see a band where the tones are really overdriven? Too much so, I think, for the style, you know.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And the other thing about these amps to me too is how well they react to pedals. You know, I don't have my full board here. I've just got a chorus and a delay with me. But like when they're just very. The front end of the amp really likes pedals going into it, so they're both very, very versatile amps. And like I say, for me, I find that the 6v6s of the Skyraider are a little wider for me sonically, and that works for me for a lot of that sort of sparkly, clean stuff that I need to play. But when I need to kill it, I just throw a little bit of a boost in front of it. And it brings out the mids, whereas I think the Heat Seeker is a rock and roll machine right out of the gate. The mids are really chimey. It's got a really nice vibe to it. It's like, you know, you and I are wine drinkers. It's, you know, a little bit of a Cabernet versus a Shiraz kind of thing going on or something. I don't know what it is.
It's nice to have. I've got them all. So for me, it's nice to be able to pull them out and try different things in the studio. And sometimes when I'm recording at home, I have the Atom Smashers either, you know, in storage or at rehearsal, and I can just pull out the Skyraider for some really cool electric 12-string tones and things that I've done recently. And it's awesome. And I've been lately trying some recording where the amps are really dialed way back, and for some really cleaner tones, which I would often, you know, have the amps really on stun a lot of the time, and then be working the guitar. So occasionally I've actually been doing that. It's got some really nice warm tones.
Well, the other thing I wanted to mention is the cabinets. Don has custom designed these cabinets, and you can get your choice of, he's an Eminence dealer, he's a Celestion dealer. You and I both have a real preference for greenbacks. We like the sound of those. The Eminence Patriot is a great speaker that he often puts in, and in one of my cabinets I actually have a Fane that's kind of a high watt, vintage high watt kind of sound. And again, they all respond really, really well to the different amps. So you can really get whatever it is you're looking for out of a Mack amp. But the most important thing to me is, if you want to be heard on stage, get yourself a Mack amp, because it's going to cut through the mix and it's going to get you what you're looking for without killing the rest of the band.
It's usually better to have more than one.
It is better. Well, it's always better to have more than one. The Mack with 2 cabinets is
or 3.
Or
sometimes
3.
I like one in the middle. Often I put the Heat Seeker in the middle and have it dry, and that's really effective for clarity.
Yeah. So if you're looking for a great amp that you can afford, that's going to give you that sound, that tone, it's probably the missing link that you've been looking for. Can't say enough about these Mack amps. You can go from the Heat Seeker or the Skyraider, or if you're looking for something a little even more pro, you move up to Dave's rig, you order yourself a DB40, which is sort of like all of these amps on steroids. So check out the other videos and spend some time at mackамps.com, and I'm sure you're going to find an amp that's right for you.